This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. I used Squarespace to build both Basics with Babish and BingingWithBabish.com. On the sites, you'll find recipes, equipment lists, other news, and updates. All beautifully designed, if I do say so myself. Get 10% off your first Squarespace order by visiting squarespace.com/Babish.
Please call me Wayman.
You know, he doesn't have to stay.
Who's he?
Becky.
Becky's a she.
You know me, I always mix up he and she. In Chinese, just one word, ta, so easy. And the way you two are dressed, I'm sure I'm not the only one calling him he. I mean her, him, I. Anyways, my English is fine.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're celebrating one of the best movies ever made, winning all the awards, by taking a look at the Scallion Noodles from Everything Everywhere All at Once. A fast, satisfying, and economical meal no matter which version of gong gong you're cooking for. Scallion noodles begin and end with their namesake, so I'm going to start by thinly slicing half a dozen scallions, and over on the stovetop, placing about a half cup of vegetable oil in a high-walled sauté pan. Adding the scallions, bringing things up to a bubble, and continuing to cook over medium-low heat for about 10 minutes, keeping the oil at a bare simmer so that the scallions don't brown but rather darken and deepen. Then it looked like Evelyn was working with lo mein noodles, so I got a 1-pound block of the frozen stuff that you can get at most grocery stores. Plop that into some ready boiling water, cooked to manufacturer's recommended specifications, and once cooked to a desired level of toothsomeness, we're scooping it out and dumping it directly into our awaiting scallion oil, keeping things going over low heat so everybody can get to know each other as we add new flavors to the party. A tablespoon and a half of dark soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, along with 1.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar to help balance out all the salt. Give everybody a good agitating for about 30 seconds over low heat, and if you be so bold, give it a few quick tosses, stopping when and if fire happens. Straight off the heat, we're going to pile it proudly into a big old bowl, and to really hammer home what kind of noodles these are, a few more thinly sliced fresh scallions. And there you have it, a boldly flavorful, delightfully expeditious, steaming delicious bowl of a Chinese essential, one that lives up to its name with a distinctly scallion-y flavor cutting through all the salty soy. Not necessarily a dish that needs improvement, but if we had the time and inclination, what steps could we take to make the Alphaverse version of Scallion Noodles? Maybe not Alphaverse specifically, because the Alphaverse was kind of in a post-apocalyptic... never mind. First up, something I've been dreading since my last tangle with them, hand-pulled noodles. First whisking together 250 grams of all-purpose flour with a half teaspoon of salt, before slowly adding in small splashes between 125 to 150 milliliters of water. In this recipe adapted from redhousespice.com. Once the dough starts coming together, you can start kneading with your hands. If you've only added 125 ml and things are a little bit too dry, go ahead and add another splash of water. If you overdid it and things start to get a little bit too wet, you can add a splash of flour until the dough comes together into a ball that's not sticky but tacky. On this very lightly floured work surface, it shouldn't stick at all as I commenced kneading it for just a couple minutes, enough so that no dry patches of flour remain. This guy's already been through a lot and he's just getting started, so we're going to give him a rest in a bowl covered with a moistened towel for about 15 minutes, enough time so that the gluten relaxes, hopefully making our lives a little bit easier as we commence to kneading for 10 to 15 minutes until the dough has become smooth, soft, supple. If you press a divot into the dough and it bounces back with vigor, you know you're ready to cut things in half and give it another rest in, or how about under a bowl, for 10 minutes. Enough time to once again let the gluten relax so that we can more easily roll these two pieces out into ovals, each about a 1/4 inch thick. I got a rim baking sheet here with a thin layer of oil on the bottom, so I'm going to douse these guys on both sides with oil, stack them, cover them with a moist towel, and give them one more rest, this time for an hour and a half. Plenty of time for us to contend with our scallion and aromatic infused oil, this time in a recipe courtesy of Chef Wangang. I'm starting by peeling and slicing 2 shallots, a dozen scallions, a couple stems of cilantro, and half a white onion. Over on the stovetop in a large wok goes 1 liter of vegetable oil, which I'm going to bring up to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit over high heat, reducing to medium once the target temp is reached, and dumping in all our yummies, along with 3 star anise pods, 6 bay leaves, and a 3-inch knob of ginger peeled and thinly sliced. Kind of like last time, we're adjusting the heat as necessary to maintain a steady bubble for about 20 to 25 minutes until the scallions turn yellow, then reduce the heat to low and continue to cook until the scallions are lightly browned. Kill the heat, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then strain out the oil, leaving the wok dirty because it's going to be a perfect place to cook our noodles. We're dumping all those deep fried caramelized aromatics or caromatics onto some paper towels, shaking them out to drain and maintain a slight crisp. Now this recipe obviously makes a lot more oil than you're going to need. Luckily this stuff is wildly delicious and would work beautifully in everything from salad dressing to Salisbury steak. Now that we got that out of the way, it's noodling time. Onto a lightly floured work surface goes one of our dough ovals or dovals, which we're going to use a bench scraper to start cutting into thin strips, the same width as the height of the dough. Then you're supposed to grab these strands and stretch them out like taffy, and to my joyous disbelief, it worked, enough so that I could fold the noodles in half and and give them a further stretching and whacking against the tabletop. You might find yourself with thick little nubbins at the end of your noodles. You can always chop these off, and then place the noodles onto a generously floured sheet tray, tossing together after every few noodles to prevent stickage. Rinse and repeat the undeniably fun process with the remaining strands, and with that, we're ready to head over to the stovetop where I've got some boiling water and our dirty wok waiting. Like most fresh noodles, these guys cook really fast, so they're only headed into the water for about 1 minute, during which time we got our wok preheating over medium flame. As soon as the noodles are done, we're fishing them out, and into the wok they go. Make sure you're not carrying too much water with you because there will be spatters. Get things moving immediately so that nobody sticks because you forgot to add the scallion oil, Andy. No matter, it's not too late. 1/4 cup of scallion oil, and the same 1.5 tablespoons dark soy sauce, 2 tablespoons light soy sauce, and 1.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar. Keep things moving over medium heat, allowing everybody to cook together and get to know each other for about 1 minute, giving things a toss, hopefully with less flames this time. Finishing things off with a 1/2 cup of scallions sliced thinly on the bias, and a 1/2 cup of our reserved crispy aromatics, minus the bay leaves and the star anise pods. Prep some more scallions for garnish, dump everybody into a big old bowl, top with a few more fresh scallions. And there you have it, scallion noodles with deeply flavorful infused oil and semi-hand-pulled noodles. Now we're talking a difference of like 15 minutes versus more than 3 hours. Is it worth all the extra effort? And the answer is a subjective yes. The sauce is definitely way more complex and tasty, and a bouncy, chewy noodle that you made yourself by hand adds the flavor of accomplishment. Now I'm a little noodled out at this point, so I needed my crew to help me induct it into the Clean Plate Club, but it is a worthy member. Congratulations to the cast and crew of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I hope that one of your versions tries out one of these versions. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. They've been a great partner in supporting the Babish culinary universe and bringing my websites to life. From websites to online stores to domains and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to build your online presence. They also have SEO tools so that your site is getting found and searched by more people more often. If you want to try it for yourself, you can start your free trial today by visiting squarespace.com/Babish to get 10% off your first purchase.